Hey everybody, this is Perch. Real problem, right? So if you're a retailer, and particularly of a small business, and comic shops are a small business, even if you're midtown, even if you're a big comic shop, you're a small business. And why I say it that way is you do not have these are a bunch of intangibles. You do not have a headquarters that is separated from your main product. You don't have a campus somewhere of hundreds of buildings. You do not have a robust HR department. You don't have, you know, you don't have a lot of these things that a major corporation has. Yeah, there's small business, there's medium business, there's big business, but for the purposes of this, we're going to call it a small business. And the most important attribute that I would say goes into that is as the owner, as somebody who is in charge, who could make a decision and everybody has to follow it, they can actually walk into their location, into their shop, and they can, solicit feedback from customers or listen to customers or even get behind the register and ring something up. I understand, what is it that the head of General Motors once came out, like changed the oil to like as a photo op. I'm not talking as a photo op. I'm talking as somebody who just goes and kind of manages their business. And I'll pick on Midtown again. I mean, the ownership there goes and engages with customers. And so it, yes, there are. It's not like the guy is simultaneously, the owner and the person running the register and the janitor and the person who, opens the boxes and like, no, of course this person has staff, but I don't know if does he want me to mention his name? I don't know. Isn't it public record? Who knows? Who knows? Too complicated. This internet, too stupidly complicated. Anyway, um, if you do that, and one of the magic parts, in my opinion, of a small business is you can go and find out what people are interested in. And one of the things I did on a regular basis was, ask questions, be curious. How do you think this comic is? What do you think about this? Oh, they're relaunching the Justice League. What do you think? Do you like the more serious Justice League, or, do you like the comedic Justice League? Do you like the Mateus, or do you like the Morrison? Like what? These are conversations you have all the time, and retailers will listen to that. And then, a week or two later, they will sit down to their orders and they'll think about the conversations they've had, and they'll go forth and they'll try and make good decisions to sell product, and that's how it goes. And invariably, you will be in there, and somebody will be coming in, and will go, "I love Nightwing." For me, I was never a fan of Nightwing. Lots of you are. I was never a big fan of Nightwing. I don't know. Again, I can't put my finger on it. It's not like, well, his costume is too. I get uncomfortable with his skin tight ass, or the blue and black color scheme is gross. It's nothing like that. It just I don't know. The character just never appealed to me. The closest I ever got to figuring that one out was it felt like you had a street level hero Batman, who's doing detective type stuff, and then you have a sub lesser street level hero Nightwing, and he's doing Batman stuff when Batman's not available. And then you have, a Robin, and then you have a background, and it's it's fine, it's the Bat family, but at some level, when I would read Nightwing, I would always think like his problem would be solved a lot faster if Batman was here. And it, and again, that's not a knock against any creators. I recognize there are legitimately good Nightwing stories out there by people who've written good Nightwing. The character never appealed to me. That's it. That's it. But people would come into the shop and they would go, "Man, Nightwing's the best character." And they're like, "Look at this Nightwing tattoo I've got." And it, roll up the sleeve and there's a Nightwing tattoo. And I remember very clearly there was a couple, and I think they were dating. I don't think they were married. They would come in all the time. And a couple would go, I like the guy liked Nightwing and had a Nightwing tattoo. And the girl was like, "If Nightwing was real, I have a hall pass. I would fuck Nightwing." And the guy's like nodding happily. And I thought, okay, so first of all, how weird is this? We've got this couple. They both like Nightwing. The woman in the couple has been given a hall pass that her boyfriend wouldn't be upset if she had sex with Nightwing. But Nightwing is not a real character. And so I always kind of wanted to go into, what if it's a cosplay situation and so he's dressed as Nightwing? Would that, Would that qualify for the hall pass? Like, what this you can't have a skip hall pass for a unreal thing, right? I don't that doesn't make any sense, but I don't know. Be as it may. But they'll go on and on about Nightwing. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, I don't like Nightwing. And thankfully, in all the times we had conversations, they never said, "Hey, you don't talk about Nightwing. Don't you want to fuck Nightwing too?" Or anything like that. Never came up. They never asked me my opinion. It was always one directional. And so as a result, I never gave it. I never felt compelled to go in there and say, "No, actually, that character is trash. You guys don't," so because number one, um, and from a business side, I was taking their money and I was happy to take it. And so, in my opinion, taking their money is more important to me than arguing with them about whether something's good or not. Number two, what business is it of mine? I mean, they literally they can like anything they want. I'm not, I don't, I'm not being forced to put a Nightwing tattoo on my arm. I would object to that. But, if Nightwing caught me in an alley and held me down and went to town, I'd be upset about it. I would not be like, "God, finally, life goals." It would be a bad experience. So it doesn't matter to me that they like Nightwing, and I never felt compelled to really get in the middle of that. Now, plenty of other retailers did. There are lots of other retailers out there that, as an owner, as somebody who's, and why I made the comment at the beginning about ownership and small business is you're financially committed. You're an owner. You're in. And so therefore, in big companies, oftentimes you abstract yourself from the little people. You don't see all these kinds of things that are going on. But in a small business, you get to engage and you have a choice. And several comic retailers chose the other path, the path of like, "I'm not going to let you buy this." I was always blown away how many people came into the store, and they were coming over from Xanadu at the time, and they were going, "Yeah, the guy working the register would take the comic out of my hands and said, 'I'm not going to let you buy this. Comic is trash.'" And made it really uncomfortable for the person who just wanted to buy the stupid comic. And finally, at one point, I called up because I was on reasonable terms with the owner over there, who finally retired. And I mean, he hated comics the last like 5 years of his existence. But I called the owner like, hey, just so you know, like, I got your customers coming into my shop and buying comics because so whoever you got there working the register is actually pulling the comics out of their hands and not selling it to them because they don't like them. And the guy's like, "Oh, really?" So I got somebody fired clearly, but it what's that to me, that's just business. And it's also probably just human decency. It's a little bit of both. It's pragmatic to just take the money and not get into dumb fights that have no bearing on anything. And it's also yeah, human decency. I think you can give your opinion. I don't like Nightwing. And it should be like, okay, you can't like every character, you can't like them all. So, that checks out. All right. What does it matter? Well, why bring all this up? If you haven't guessed already, one, just kind of reminiscing about comic shop behavior is always fun. Who doesn't want to talk about a hall pass for Nightwing? But number two, if you look at kind of how some of the behavior goes, I'm just fascinated with our quote unquote community because there is like the douchebag comic retailer who would take comics out of the people's hands and tell them what they couldn't buy has started to translate to the douchebag fan. And not all fans are this way. All the people listening to this, don't worry, I'm not talking about you. You're all beautiful people and you never do this kind of shit. But why is it that when somebody expresses something they like, it creates such a backlash, a firestorm, even if the person is saying so defensively, like, I like, I like the Krakoa X-Men run. Okay. I don't. But again, what business is in mind? You can like what you like. The conversation kind of on both ends has gotten gross, though. People don't go just like, "Hey, I like the Krakoa run." They'll go, "I like the Krakoa run, and it is the most accurate and authentic and best X-Men run of all time, And that is what the X-Men are, and all of my knowledge on continuity and what characters are about come from that run. And, in that respect, yeah, no, I mean, again, I'm not gonna argue passionately, and if I'm a retailer taking the money, I'm probably rolling my eyes inside my head, but I'm like, "All right, well, thank goodness there's Marvel keeps vomiting out Krakoa titles in, 'cause I'm selling you $50 worth of shit every month. That's great." But but that's kind of the way this has gone. It's no longer I like something. It's I like something and it's better than everything else. And fuck you for, saying anything bad about it, because this is the most pure distillation of comics in the history of all comics. Um, and on the other end, it's like, can you believe this guy likes this thing? Ah, fuck, what a pussy. This is a corporate shill. That's the one that's the knee jerk bullshittery reaction that you get from intellectual idiots who use that. I think a corporate shill has become the dummy comment. Oh, this guy's a corporate shill. It's like, oh, because I said I read an issue of Spider-Man and enjoyed it. Yeah, you're supposed to hate those comics. You're supposed to hate all of them because Marvel sucks. Marvel's just trying to tie you down and get you raped by Nightwing. That's what's going on. Anyway, um, it, I, it- we, it's all very silly. Comics, you get to like them or not like them. You don't have to justify if you like them or don't like them. You just get it just gets to be. And there is a strange kind of behavior. As I said, I always found the comic shop owner who would pull comics out from somebody's hands and be real judgmental about what's being bought. I always found that person absolutely insufferable. They were it was bad for business, it was bad for the community, it's bad for people trying to buy comics, it was bad for encouraging growth, it was bad. And it just why do I care about some of this? Because as somebody who sold comics, I don't love it when there's some other business, some other person out there actively chasing people away. That's not good for my business. So it's disappointing that not only did we not get rid of that, there's still retailers like that, but it migrated to fans, where now fans are, it picking things up and like, oh, you like this movie, you like that, like, oh, you must be a Marvel flunky. And your opinion is invalid. You liked an issue of the Hulk, and it's like, how do you even know? I mean, the other thing is, like, it's like people get to pick. It's like somewhere along the lines, people go, Pete Tomasi, great creator. We like him. So therefore, if you're talking about comics, corporate comics, you could choose from the list, like Pete Tomasi, uh, you know, I- Jeremy Williams, um, Jeremy Adams. What am I saying? Um, it's early in the morning. There's just this handful of creators. You're like, yeah. We'll give you a pass on a corporate chill if you specifically mention these guys, but otherwise, it's like the money's still going to Marvel, pal, or DC. Anyway, what do you think? What is this? What is this type of fan? So I want to do toxic fans. My God, I mean that's overused. But it was always the d bag comic shop, which got to be such a stereotype. It was a character in The Simpsons. The the douche comic shop owner. What is the fan equivalent of that? Anyway, thanks for listening.